Just a moment, let me transfer you.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Senator LaGrange.
Yes.
It's Bobby, how are you doing? I missed your call this morning.
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Robin called me this morning. I told you I was going to talk to Stephen in Dixon, Colorado. But anyway, he does not want. He wants things to play out its course. When he called this morning. Then. And I know he called you and he called Miss Luper because I was on the phone when he talked to Miss Luper, and Steve was on the phone too. So.
Miss Luper was trying to tell me something that was said, and I know getting secondhand information, like we said last night, you get it all twisted up. And she said that Steve had said that his family had told me and Miss Luper to stay out of his case, and we wouldn't, or something to that effect. And I think that is...
Okay, let me say this. Let me make a general disclaimer. It's been real fast and furious this morning, okay? But I don't remember that. I mean, it was I remember something about him saying, let things run its course. His other thing was that unless, he felt like forcing the board to somehow putting the board on the spot through a hearing. He said, I don't know what the hearing would do because you don't control anything, not in that regard, Vicki. And I know that. Okay, Bobby, hold on one second. Hi, Virginia. Now, what about the check I sent out there to you all? They must have come and picked that other one up and issued this one. Do I just sign it like it is, Ms. LaGrange? Okay. Okay, I don't have it here. I've got it at the law office. You want to leave that with me? And I tell you what, would you ask Tamara to make a copy of that check for me so I'll have a copy for the record? Thank you, and if you'll close that door. Thanks, Virginia. I'm sorry, Bobby.
That's okay.
He was saying that to tick off the board members and question their integrity. That doesn't do anything for him, for sure.
Question what board members?
He was saying in a Senate hearing, on like what they did in the DeWolf case. The scope of the investigation included calling the board members too.
I don't think so. But I've always abided by Robin's wishes, and had he, just Friday, Saturday, Sunday evening, there's a telephone log in Fred Gilbert's office where he called Fred Gilbert and asked Fred Gilbert to help him. This was just when I come back from Tulsa. But again, I respect his wishes. I would have never been involved in helping, period, if he hadn't requested it.
Now, let me say this, Bobby. He's not saying don't help me. He wants all the help he can get.
Well, see, that's why I called, because Miss Luper's got the impression that he don't want anything done from me or her.
Thank you, Tamara.
His message is kind of...
No, his whole thing, his whole thing was, let's don't go off on another course.
Oh, well, Vic, let me say this here. Just like when we talked last night, and I still got the note, and I went and talked to those people and got good response from them, and I called back to find out where Reverend Parker was. I got your note right here in reference to that hearing. I'm going to read it back to you, and you got a copy of it because we both wrote it down. We're talking to the governor. Would you give a 60-day stay if a Senate investigation is commenced simultaneously with the state. I presented that to David's lawyer this morning and one of his real close associates, and they in turn made copies of it and gave it back to me and made a phone call and told me who to take the material to. At the same time, they told me that Mr. Watts had already made arrangement for Reverend Parker to speak with the governor. Now, everybody else has been running around and talking about who's going to speak with the governor. You probably already know this. They told me that Reverend Parker is the man who's going to speak with the governor. So I said they had made a phone call for me to go to a certain person to take the material over there and to the governor's office. I stopped in the hallway to call Miss Luper to find out, because I tried to reach you and couldn't reach you, to get the material with you and Reverend Parker and let Reverend Parker do just what would you give a 60-day stay if a Senate investigation is commenced simultaneously. But when I went to tell Miss Luper that, she was so upset. She said, "You come over here now," because they have told me, they have said that me and you stay out of the case. That I mean, just a lot of other stuff.
That's not what he said, Bobby.
Well,
that is not what he said.
I don't know what was said.
Don't go. He doesn't want. He says he wants everybody to follow with his attorneys because he has confidence in his attorneys.
Well, nobody's done anything outside the attorneys up until here recently. When every time that I find something, I share it with the attorneys first and get copies of it. I said, okay, you can accept it or reject it, or if you think it has merit, or if you think it doesn't have any merit. And I noticed somebody has told Robin that I am trying to take over his case because in his tape he said everything is going to be done, Bobby, the way along the lines that you're working on. They're going to do that, and they're going to file these things at that particular time, but not the way you want them filed. I have never said I wanted anything filed any particular way without discussing it with his lawyers, and I give an overview of what my thoughts are. But I recognize the fact and I respect the fact, even though there's some friction between the lawyers and myself and other folk. I respect the fact that they have the right to accept it or reject it. And that's all I have been doing all through this case. Just as we sit and hashed out things last night till the early hours this morning. And you said, okay, I would be of a mind to call the investigation if this little statement we got, would you, talking to the governor, to give a 60-day stay?
I wanted also to talk to the lawyers in the case. And when I did that this morning, I called you and you were gone.
I told you last night, I said, I'll be at the Capitol building bright and early in the morning.
You left early. And when I talked to Steve, because I didn't talk to Steve until this morning, because he had gotten back, he was in McAllister last night. And when I called him and I told him about our discussion, then he says, I don't think that's a good idea, and the reason is, and he proceeded to go through all of the things of the governor's mindset and the meeting they had last night and all of this, and the people that were at that meeting and all of that.
Well,
so that's when I said,
whatever they decide to do.
That's when I said I need to call Bobby. I said I need to call Bobby.
Because I told you last night that I would be up early in the morning at that Capitol building.
Well,
and that's just what I did.
I told you that I wanted to talk to them too. I mean, I wasn't going to just.
Well, I didn't say you was going to do anything by me going.
No, I know.
Doing what I was
what I'm saying is, I in good faith turned around and called you, and then he conferenced. Well, actually, Robin called me. The records will show. Robin called me, okay? And I'm sure Steve had talked to him, okay? Then coming to find out, I know. See, I didn't know who, and this is all irrelevant. I didn't know who he was.
Who?
Robin. He's with Vicky Miles. Don't you remember?
I don't know why you don't know Robin.
Because Robin was 2 years younger than me, and you know when you're growing up and somebody's 2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
They little kids. They small potato stuff. As soon as he told me that Harvetta was his sister, I knew exactly who he was.
Yeah, well, Harvetta is his sister.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, Harvetta is his sister.
I swear I didn't know that.
But see,
And he
Vicky...
said, Vicky Miles, he said, I'm going to tell you something.
Vicky, you don't even remember me. Not from back in those days. I know you don't, but I've been knowing you for years. I know your family. I've been knowing all of your folks for years and years.
Well, let me tell you what Bobby said. What Robin said. He said that, it's Vicky Miles. He said, I'm going to tell you something. He said it didn't surprise me one bit when I first became aware that you were working behind the scenes. And he said, I became aware of that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he said, when we were in junior high school, he said, your heart was always good. And your heart was always in the right place. And he said, and we started talking about all these girls. And he said, you didn't get no play from the boys. He said, because back then it wasn't cool to be dark-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but I always knew that you were going to do something. He said, because you were just as steady as a rock. He said, because the boys wasn't talking to you, so all you had to do was study your lesson. He said, and we were all giving that play to them high yellow girls. He said, see, if I had talked to you, I probably wouldn't have been in this fix now. I said, I wouldn't have talked to you no way, Robin, because you were 2 years younger than me. And we just laughed.
Yeah, it's no telling where Robin has been, because he's always been inclined to go to school and get an education. That was one of his main functions growing up.
You know what the worst thing, and I'm gonna probably go deal with her, or ask to sit down and talk with her tomorrow.
His mom?
I'm talking about Miss Luper.
Oh.
Because it's a bad situation.
Well, she is hurt. I haven't seen that woman cry in a long time, but tears was all in her eyes.
It's a bad. Where
and
is
she
at?
said, I don't know. She just took off in a car. I can't even find her. She said, of all the things that we've been trying to do, said, I'm only trying to help save his life.
And he acknowledged that, and he because he was referring to her as Mother Luper during the call. He said, and I appreciate it. He said, I can never. He said, get the calls going into the governor's office, asking. He said, but I don't want. He was real emphatic about it. And you heard him, because I heard the message he left for you, Bobby.
He did. I heard it. What he said, but see here's what, Vicky. See, this same thing have come up before as to what Robin said and the calls that he made, and later on there'll be another call contradicting that. Okay? I would have never been in Tulsa trying to hire 2-3 lawyers over there.
Yeah.
Over the weekend if Robin had not authorized it.
Yeah.
And
I hear you, and I can't. I'm trying to be empathetic because I can't imagine what it would be like knowing that an hour certain you might.
That's right. This is why, Vicky, there's no way in the world I would drag my kid across this turnpike or anywhere if somebody did, especially Robert, if he hadn't asked for that type of help. First of all, I can't afford it financially. Secondly, there's a lot of other things that I could be doing to help out.
I know.
And still, keep my household. But Miss Luper is really hurt, and I'm being truthful. I doubt if this woman will ever get over that, because she sat there. I mean, I've never seen her look so depressed. She could even hardly drive her car.
Well, I'm going to call her, and
because she said I don't know who said it on the phone. She said either Robin or Steve said that the family has told Bobby Battle and you to stay out of Robin's case. She said, well, nobody's never told me that. And I'm for sure that no one has ever said that. In fact, Land was trying to reach Hawkins Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, where he could set up a conference call because Robin had called an attorney in Tulsa and requested the attorney over there help him in certain aspects of his case. And the attorney had already told Steve and them earlier what Robin had said, and they led Robin to believe that he was helping And when he called the lawyer Sunday, the lawyer told him, said, no, what they've done, they've consulted with me and I've sent him material and stuff. He said, well, I thought you was working with him. And the purpose of his dad setting up the conference call for Steve, Robin, and the lawyer and his dad was to clarify something. And this was just yesterday. This was just yesterday.
Well, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I gotta go right this minute.
Well, now,
where are you at?
I'm at home, but I'm gonna leave. Now, the two people that set it up to where they could get it to the governor, like you asked me to, what do you want me to do with that bit of just leave it alone or give the information to Reverend Parker, since Reverend Parker is going to be the man with no uncertainty, the man that's going to talk to the governor? Now, what do you want me to do? Get with Reverend Parker and give him this material, and then he can get with you?
Yeah, go on and give it to Reverend Parker. I mean, I'm not, listen, Bobby, I'm as desperate as everybody else in terms of looking for the key that's going to unlock the door. Okay? So, I would not say...
Well, I haven't given it to anybody after all of this disturbance. I said, well, I'd better try to reach Vicky to find out what to do, because I know we had got on the same wavelength last night, early this morning at least. And I wrote down, well, if I'm able to sit here and read it back to you, I wrote it down, because you wrote it down as you were talking.
Right, and I think we said we're saying the same thing.
Well, now that I have taken care of my part, and there's a person waiting at the Capitol, been waiting at the Capitol building for me since about 8:50, 8:45, for me to come there where they can take me somewhere. But I called back when they told me that Reverend Parker had already been cleared, is already set and everything for him, and I think it's Judd Watts. Joe Watts, okay, that had made the arrangement to go in with him.
Okay.
And I said, well, there's no sense in no 2 or 3 people running up there. If Reverend Parker's going, let me get a hold to Reverend Parker and Vicky to find out, since one of Walter's lawyers and a friend of his thought it was a fairly good idea and it would keep him in the right frame of light if this had to transpire. And I said, well, before I do anything else, let me get in touch with Vicky and Reverend Parker, because I told Miss Luper earlier to stay in touch with Reverend Parker until I got back from up there. And when I got back, what I thought was a positive reaction.
Well, see, it's like after I talked to Steve, that's when I got on the phone trying to call you.
Well, I had already gone, because I told you this morning when we were finished. I said, Vicky, I'll be up and out of here early in the morning to get this taken care of.
I know. Bobby, I have got to go.
Well, now, what do you suggest that I do? Go give this to Reverend Parker and the overall statement of what you gave me?
You can
and have him to call you?
I'd say I don't know. You mean you're going to physically take it to Reverend Parker? And what is it that you're taking?
A copy of the excerpts about the hearing and what you said about would the governor, you talking to the governor about giving the 60-day stay if a Senate investigation is commenced simultaneously with the state.
I guess I don't want it presented to the governor.
Okay.
As if I'm making this suggestion. This was a suggestion. I want it all to be as it is.
And how's that?
It's you all saying that, see if this idea will work. It's your idea, because the lawyers don't want anything done in that regard. I mean, they just kind of want to stay on track. And it is very delicate, and I know you know that better than I do. I don't want to fuck up nothing.
Well, that's why I'm asking. I didn't want to muddle up anything. That's why I didn't. See, I could have walked out of that office where I was. There was a person standing there just around the corner waiting to take me to the governor's office.
Do you have conference calling capability?
No. I got a couple of lines.
See if you can get... I wanted to patch in Steve.
Well, now, what you can do, you can... Let's see, you...
See, I can't do a third-party call on this phone.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the Capitol. I could in my law office, but I can't up here.
Okay, let's see. If I put you on hold and call Steve, then I could click...
Do you have call waiting?
Yeah.
Okay, if you depress the thing and see if you get a dial tone line.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Okay,
you will be on hold.
Steve.
Okay, now where's Steve? At the hotel?
No, he's at 278-1550.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you call Steve.
And then I'll click you back in.
And then just depress it again.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to put your phone down for just a second.
Okay. Hello, Vicky. I can't get my other line in. Hold on. I can't even...
Camera, we can't make a third-party call on these lines.
Oh, no, because she hooked you up on another line.
Okay, Bobby, did you call me?
Yeah, I called you, and then she had to hook me up on another line to get you.
Well, that's all right on that part.
Well, hold on a minute. Let me try it again.
I was going to try it on this phone.
No, I can't get my other line clear.
I can. Hold on a second.
Okay.
If you cut off, what's your phone number?
840-1381.
840-13 what?
81.
1381.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Tell them to close the door.
Okay.
Hold on. Now just depress here. Okay. Stephen?
Hello.
Okay. Bobby,
yes.
I told you, Steve, about the conversation that Bobby and I had last evening. And Bobby saying that, okay, if the governor will agree to a joint press conference staying the execution, would you call a special Senate committee? And I said, that's, I don't think he would do that, but that's something that, certainly, I would consider it, sure,
Okay, well, let's back up, Vicky. Let's not get out of context.
Okay.
We talked about the whole thing.
Right, right.
And you agreed that if the governor would grant a 60-day stay simultaneously, and in fact, we both wrote it down, so let's don't get, out of context of the word. The words was used, governor, would you, this is what I was supposed to secure clearance on. Governor, would you give a 60-day stay if a Senate investigation is commenced simultaneously with a stay? Is that what I was supposed to clear up?
Right, and there was a contingency. What was the contingency?
Then you both would give a joint release on the whole issue.
No, what was the contingency relating to talking to the lawyers?
Oh, you said you wanted to talk to the lawyers.
Right.
I had no problem with that. But after we concluded this bit right here, for me to get the governor to opt to give a 60-day stay if a Senate investigation is commenced simultaneously with the stay, and I told you last night after we talked, I will get up in the morning, I will go to the governor's people and get that cleared, and I've gotten that cleared, and then that's when I hear this other stuff, and I didn't make any other move. I didn't. Let me finish. I didn't make any other move, and I've contacted you to find out what you want me to do now.
Okay, and you know now with hindsight that I contacted you, first thing this morning, and then Robin called you.
The point, Vicky, is we need you.
After my conversation with the lawyers saying they. Who's this?
I'm not going to answer that right now. But you need to tell me, what do you want me to do? Either give it to Reverend Parker and have him contact you, or put it over here in a box and forget about it, or whatever. It doesn't make me any difference, because everything that I have done, and I'm glad Steve's on the line, everything that I have, tried to do, I have always invited the lawyers with the first look at it. They could accept it or reject it.
Okay, and Steve, I'm calling you, and I know you've got a million things you're trying to do too today. But I called you because when Bobby says, "Well, Reverend Parker is going up there today."
This is why I didn't go. They had that person been waiting for me to come over there to take me in the governor's office since about 8:45. But when I found out, when they told me that Joe Watts had already cleared Reverend Parker, there was no sense in those 3 or 4 people going in, and that's why I started trying to reach you and Miss Luper to find Reverend Parker, to find out if it's okay to give Reverend Parker the clearance that I'd got through the governor's office on what you wanted done, and let him take it in there since he was going anyway.
Bobby, after I talked to Steve.
But the point is, what do you want me to do now? Because all we're doing is just rehashing the same thing. I want to know, what should I do now?
Well, I think we all
give it to Reverend Parker, or leave it alone. Don't bother with it. One of the two. That's all.
I think we're all bound by. I know I'm bound by Robin's wishes.
Well, Vicky, I've done what you asked me to do.
Well, and
now I'm asking you point blank, and I've got Robin's conversation. I'm asking you, what do you want me to do with the material? Leave it alone or give it to Reverend Parker?
I think it's Robin's wishes that nothing be done in that regard. Is that? I mean, am I?
That's exactly